Hello, everyone. Have you ever prayed and felt like your prayers went no further than the ceiling? Well, with God, there is no ceiling. There are no limits. We're going to begin a study today that will help you learn how to live life with ceiling and visibility unlimited. I'm going to explain that. Plus, I'm going to get you caught up on some of the latest news that you need to be aware of from a Christian perspective. That's all coming up next as Arkansas Live starts right now. Now, occasionally I like to bring you up to date on certain topics that we hear in the news from a Christian perspective. So I'd like to take that time today as we discuss our upcoming topic, which is CAUV. C-A-U-V. I'll explain that to you in just a little while. Do you remember that Hillary Clinton was willing for a baby's life to be terminated in the womb just prior to birth? Well, the state of New York has just passed legislation making that a reality. You may be aware of this. This action will lift up the whole pro-life government. I want you to look at it in a positive perspective. It will energize Christians everywhere to actively pursue the repeal of Roe versus Wade. In fact, I had a minister friend text me just the other day prior to preparing this message. He was so disturbed by New York's recent law and other legislative powers that are suggesting that we abort babies even sometimes after they're born. But instead of giving birth, you terminate that child's life, throw it away. So this has already happened. Now, let me call your attention to something that some of you may not be aware of. When Ronald Reagan was president, he wrote a book called Abortion, the Conscience of a Nation. I've read through it many times. And he prophesied, that in the future, if we continue to kill the unborn, it will destroy the conscience of this nation. That has already happened. Now, what does the Bible have to say? Proverbs chapter 6, and we're going to look at one verse in four verses. Proverbs 6:16. These 6 things does the Lord hate. 7 are an abomination unto him: a proud look, a lying tongue, and hands that shed innocent blood. Now, this is an abomination to God. God hates this. Now, you might say, well, Pastor Caldwell, I'm a believer, I'm a Christian. I hate it too. But we're entering into a phase in our culture. We're going from what it's going to take to change something to actually doing something. We're going to have to stand up. We're going to have to get out of our comfort zone. We're going to have to do something. Of course, legislation is a powerful and important part of that. And all 6 of Arkansas's constitutional representatives in Washington, D.C. are all pro-life. Arkansas has an advantage. I'm going to talk just a few minutes about upcoming events with the nation of Israel. Arkansas, again, has stepped up to the plate. So Arkansas, in its legislative actions, is doing its part. But the citizens, the Christians, the believers, have to do something. You have to do more than just pray. Prayer is first, but then you have to step out. You have to do. You have to act. You have to vote. You have to join, because God hates this, and this is destroying the conscience of our nation. The next issue is religious persecution. I don't know that Christians are even aware of some of the shocking statistics that I'm going to share with you. I serve on the board of CUFI, Christians United for Israel. And in 13 years, we've grown from 400 members to 5.4 million members. I won't go into all the detail of the impact that CUFI has had, not only in Washington, D.C., on America, but now in Israel. CUFI has added a new initiative to its agenda. I was meeting with Pastor Hagee just a few days ago, and this is what the board initiated to be our new initiative. Protecting Christians worldwide from persecution and death. Now, what's the Bible say? Let's always refer to scriptures. Matthew 24, and let's look at verses 6 through 9. This is Jesus talking. He said, "You'll hear of wars and rumors of wars," which we are. "See that you be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet." We know these things are coming to pass. Jesus said they would. But I'm talking about what is our response to these things. It says, "Nation shall rise against nation, kingdom against kingdom. There'll be famines, pestilences, earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. Then shall they deliver you up to be afflicted, and shall kill you, and you shall be hated of all nations for my name's sake." Now we know from the scripture text he's talking about Israel. But let's just take that statement and apply it to where we are today. And I think you'll see by these statistics that I'm going to show you what's going on. 1 in 12 Christians around the world experience violence, including death, rape, beatings, forced marriage, imprisonment, simply because of their faith in Jesus Christ. You know, this is terrible. These are shocking statistics. These are things that I don't think most believers here in America are aware of, and even if they're aware of them, they don't think about them. Our brothers and sisters are being killed. Here's another bullet point. A Christian is martyred somewhere in the world every 6 minutes. So before I get through with this particular program, there are going to be Christians martyred by the dozens. 26 million Christians died as martyrs in the 20th century. 26 million. That's more than in the previous 1900 years of Christianity. 215 million Christians experience brutality worldwide. For each person who identifies as a Christian in the United States, there is another somewhere in the world living under the weight of severe harassment. 60% of those living under the threat of persecution are children. And in the last 10 years, the number of countries where Christians are persecuted has risen from 95 to more than 144. More than 80% of the world's population now lives in countries where religious expression is severely restricted. Under previous administrations in this country, Christianity was under attack. All you have to do is go back and research the tremendous pressure, even all the way back to the Johnson Amendment, where Lyndon Johnson, for fear that Christian people would talk disparagingly about him and his administration, and he passed the Johnson Amendment, which forbid Christian institutions to endorse a candidate, to endorse legislation, and it forced the body of Christ to shut up and be muzzled for many, many years. The Obama administration was a great persecutor of religion and Christianity and Christian organizations. Now we have an administration under Donald Trump that has eliminated the Johnson Amendment and allowed the Christian voice to speak forth like never before. You know, I don't know if you realize this or not, but there is so much going on in the world right now. It's like the door's been opened, the lid's been taken off, and we are absolutely preaching the gospel to the world. I've never seen anything like it in my time. Let's go to another one of these news items. I call it, don't be deceived. If you like your doctor, you can keep them. You didn't build that by yourself. America is no longer a Christian nation. Read my lips, no new taxes. I did not have sex with that woman. And most recently, Medicare for everybody. Recognize those statements? Lying is the new norm. Don't be deceived. You have to know the truth, and the knowledge of the truth will make you free. John 8:32, Jesus said that. He said the knowledge of the truth will make you free. So if the secular media, all the liberal socialists, all those that want to change America, if they are the loudest voice in the room, the truth is going to be eradicated. So you and I have to speak up, because Jesus said it's the knowledge of the truth that makes people free. Look at Matthew 24 again and verse 4. Jesus said, "Take heed that no man deceive you." Deception is at an all-time high. I've never seen anything like it. Everything from commercials to news, secular news, television, programming, phone call, solicitation, politicians. So if you don't know the truth and you don't have the Spirit of truth on the inside of you, you will be deceived into believing something that's not true. Now, that's how politicians plan their campaigns. It doesn't make any difference to them what they say to get elected. But you have to know the truth, or you'll vote for the wrong person. You'll vote for the wrong thing. What were we told here in Arkansas about the lottery? We were told that the lottery was going to fund college education for those that needed help. Only 18% of all the money that comes in goes to help fund education. We were lied to. We were also lied to about the marijuana, medical marijuana. There were those that came from other states and tried to tell us, don't believe this, it's not true. There were Arkansans that voted for it, and it was passed. My question is always, where are the believers? Where's the church company? Where are the people that are supposed to be standing up for light, for morality? I'll deal with that word in just a minute. Let's go to the next one, Israel. Anti-Semitism is at an all-time high. The breeding ground for this is America's colleges and universities. Let me go back to my relationship with CUFI, Christians United for Israel. The ground for this anti-Semitism is America's colleges and universities. Battling anti-Semitism is one of CUFI's initiatives. We have CUFI on-campus students, representatives, on 300 plus campuses in America. The state of Arkansas, now listen to me, has invested millions of dollars in Israel bonds to show our support of Israel and to show rebuttal of the BDS. This is the boycott, divestment, sanctions that the world is trying to put on Israel. Recently, Airbnb, a global real estate listing company, was caught delisting or not listing Israel properties on the West Bank. They just deleted them. Why? They don't want people to buy anything in Israel. This is anti-Semitism. This is discrimination against the Jewish people on a global level. Recently, you heard in Arkansas where the state of Arkansas won a court case, a judgment case, against a local journal, a local journalism magazine, and the ACLU that sued the state of Arkansas to try and render the BDS sanctions against Arkansas, because Arkansas is pro-Israel. The recent Women's March in D.C. has a reputation of being anti-Semitic due to its relationship with the Nation of Islam's Louis Farrakhan. However, on the other hand, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was always pro-Israel. Let me give you a quote from one of his speeches. Peace for Israel means security, and we must stand with all of our might to protect Israel's right to exist. That was Dr. Martin Luther King. Because of the increasingly hostile actions against Israel, and I know this because I have privileged information and contact with people on the international level dealing with Israel through CUFI. And I'll just say this is all I'm going to say about it, but you'll see it played out. Israel is changing their strategy from one of prevention to one of confrontation and destruction. So don't be deceived when you start hearing the lies that the secular media is going to tell you about Israel being the aggressor. It is not true. I've been there many times, and some few weeks ago, I was talking to some of the representatives of the Israeli government and military. And I was in a conference, a CUFI conference, a leadership summit down in San Antonio, Texas. So you're going to see Israel change their MO from one of defense to one of confrontation and destruction. Now, the church's responsibility towards Israel is to support them at all costs. I am so proud of our Arkansas legislators and our leadership here, all of our United States congressional leadership. All 6 of them are pro-Israel. Our governor, all of the constitutional offices in our state government are all pro-Israel, all pro-life. Listen, folks, we need to thank God for that. That's a great blessing here in the state of Arkansas. Arkansas has no state debt. We have hundreds of millions of dollars in our state treasury in surplus. There are not many states that can, crow about that, if you want to use that word. So we're blessed. Keep praying for our leaders, for our senators, our governor, all of our constitutional leaders. Keep praying for them because we're blessed. But we're going to have to continue. Genesis 12:3. There's the biblical mandate where Abraham and all the Jewish people are concerned. Said, if you bless Israel, you'll be blessed. Let's go to immigration. You may have heard this comment by Nancy Pelosi. A wall is immoral. Well, what does that mean? The definition of the word immoral is conflicting with general or traditionally held moral principles. Let me say that again. Immoral. A wall is immoral. Well, first of all, a wall is just a piece of steel or concrete. It has no spiritual or civil definition at all. It's a piece of concrete or a piece of steel. Immoral is conflicting with general or traditionally held moral principles. Now, what Nancy Pelosi means is that America's always had open borders. Yes and no. Yes, we've always welcomed immigrants from other nations to come here. but we always required them to enter legally. You know, I find her statement ludicrous. Why don't liberal socialists like Mrs. Pelosi apply that same definition of immoral to the killing of millions of unborn children? That is definitely immoral. Why? Because it doesn't serve their political platform. It's not in their agenda. Folks, when will we admit that the revisionists are determined to change America into a socialist country? And they will stop at nothing to accomplish their objective. And the people that vote for them, now I'm going to say this, I don't say this to be crass, I say this to get your attention. I'm going to define this for you. People that vote for liberal socialists are stupid. Again, I don't say that to be crass or offensive. The word stupid is not an insult to one's intelligence, but to one's ignorance of the truth. End of commentary. Our scriptures, our Bible, is how we are supposed to live. This is what God gave us to carry out our life. And we sometimes have to be shaken to the core. I was listening to, and I wrote myself some notes, I was listening to a speaker a few days ago concerning the millennials. Because at CUFI, we are constantly training young people. In fact, most of our young leaders in CUFI are all younger, I'd say 40 or younger, especially the college-age kids. They're the next generation. And we pay for a lot of these college kids to go to Israel so they can see for themselves. Because in their colleges and universities, the anti-Semitism is so overwhelming. They're cursed, called names, spit on. I mean, they're fighting a major war in our secular, ungodly universities and colleges. So how are we going to change the next generation's attitude towards Israel? We have to show them the truth. They have to go to Israel and see what's happening. And so we bring these students to our leadership summits. We teach them, we train them, we let them hear from Israeli officials, military people, senators, politicians, you name it, to help give them a rounded education. And I was talking to Diana Hagee because we do a lot of this at their conference center, their ranch down in Del Rio. And I've forgotten how many young people we had down there this year. And I was asking her, I said, y'all do such a beautiful job of coordinating everybody because they have to bunk together. Most of them all are single young men, single young women. I said, boy, you really packed them in here. She says, yes, and it's not easy with millennials. I said, why? She said, because they don't want to room together. I said, they don't want to room together? She said, no. When we take them to Israel and when we bring them here, they don't want to stay two in a room. They want their own room. I said, well, isn't that interesting? Do you know why? She said, yes. It's all about me. It's the hashtag me too. Me too. What about me? You can apply that anywhere you want to, any way you want to. And I heard this come up on the inside of me. The millennials, and again, I'm not saying this to be offensive, but I want to shock you with this revelation. The millennials are probably the brightest and smartest generation that we've ever seen in our culture. But they're also stupid because they are ignorant of the truth. Let me pull up a definition here. I think I can find this without too much trouble. Let me pull this up for you since I've opened myself up to this criticism. Here's the definition of stupid. given to unintelligent decisions or acts, acting in an unintelligent or careless manner, lacking intelligence or reason, marked by or resulting from unreasoned thinking or acting, senseless. Here's some examples. She angrily described her boss as a stupid old man. He had a stupid expression on his face. I'm not stupid enough to fall for that trick. Why are you being so stupid? Here's some synonyms. Absurd, asinine, balmy, brainless, cockeyed, crackpot, crazy, cuckoo, daffy, dippy, dotty, feather-headed, foolish, half-baked, insane, kooky, lunatic, and I won't go on. These are some of the definitions of what it means to be stupid. It's not lack of being smart or being intelligent, education-wise. It's the lack of the ability to use that education and use that intelligence correctly with truth. Our young people need help. They need guidance. They need prayer. So here's the news commentary in a capsule of some of the issues we're dealing with today and what the Bible has to say about it. So now our responsibility as believers, as Christians, is to do our part to help remedy some of these problems. Stand up against error. Stand up against lying. Stand up against abortion on demand. Stand up against all of the things that you hear and see that are wrong. Speak the truth one with another. And you'll help keep America the way God intended it to be. You'll help the church continue to grow and preach the gospel to the world. And you'll get a lot of people saved along the way because they need to hear the truth. Now, tomorrow we're going to get into our subject, Kavu, Ceiling and Visibility Unlimited. This is going to be a challenge and a thrill to you. So join me for tomorrow's Arkansas Live. Remember, Jesus is the Lord of Arkansas and where you're watching to.
Send your questions, comments, and testimonies to Happy Caldwell at Post Office Box 26207, Little Rock, Arkansas 72221, or email happycaldwell@vtntv.com. Remember to follow VTN on Facebook at VTN Your Arkansas Christian Connection, and follow Happy Caldwell on Twitter at Happy_Caldwell. Today's episode is available to watch on demand at vtntv.com and click Watch. You can also watch VTN via live stream at vtntv.com.